Hey there, my name is Dylan Strawn, and today I'm going to be using fire and pine trees to create an ancient wood sealer that works so well that it was used to waterproof some of the largest wooden ships to ever sail the seas.
For thousands of years before hardware stores and modern-day film finishes, people relied on pine tar, from everything from protecting wood homes, to fence posts, to sealing ships, waterproofing ropes and boots, preserving tools and wagon parts, coating barrels, and even healing cracked hands and minor wounds, just to name a few things. But I'm not just going to show you how to protect wood today, I'm also going to show you how to make a very traditional antibacterial hand salve that's perfect for healing minor cuts and wounds, as well as some minor skin conditions. Here is why pine tar makes a remarkably good wood sealer and why it's worth considering. Most modern finishes form a film on top of the wood, and once that coating cracks, water can get trapped behind it and rot can start where you can't see it. Pine tar, however, works very differently. It soaks deep into the fibers of the wood and sheds water away. But it remains breathable, so if water gets behind it, it can easily escape. And the natural resins that are the same defense mechanism that pine tree uses to seal up wood and make it harder for fungi to grow and less inviting for insects is what will protect your wood. But don't get me wrong, there are certainly some downsides, including a strong smell, darker color, slower drying, and no glossy finishes. But in return, you get a very simple to apply and very simple to maintain finish that is completely all natural.
As always, let's pull out the field notes and I'll show you what we're getting up to. In order to make pine tar, we're going to need to construct ourselves a very simple pine tar kiln. And these are all my notes I have written down on how exactly we're going to construct them, and I'll share with you step by step how we do this later in the video. But feel free to pause this now if you'd like to take some notes. As well as over here on this side, I have a handful of recipes written out for different things that you can make using our pine tar, including a wood sealer, a glue, a hand salve, and soap. And there's just so many other uses as well. But if you'd like to get yourself a copy of this, feel free to check the link in the description below, and I'll make one available for everybody. If you like field notes or would like to try some out, be sure to head over to provenhands.com. It's one of the many things I sell over there, and I'm actually getting ready to launch a leather cover for these, so be on the lookout for that. It's made from the same leather that I use to make all of our belts. In order to make our sealer, we're going to need to extract the pine resin from these trees in order to make ourselves some pine tar. And there's a couple different ways we can do that. So let's start off with the first one. Well, I've come to a local park here. This is actually in the center of town. I'm sure you can hear the construction going on in the background. And I came here to collect some resin so that I can show you you can get this stuff pretty much anywhere and you don't have to have a large forest around you. There happens to be a lot of longleaf pines in here, but any conifer tree with a wound is going to be producing some sort of sap. So I'll take you around and show you kind of what you're looking for. So this tree has had some sort of wound right here, and all of this that you see is actually resin that is dried, and the tree is using it to help close this wound in. So we don't want to remove any of this that's inside the edges. But all this down here at the bottom, this is safe to take away from the tree, and the tree's just going to continue to keep producing it. So we're going to chisel away some of these bits down here. Check out how gnarly this tree's injury is. It goes most of the way up the tree. But the tree is still in good health because it's been charred from a controlled burn. And as you can see, there's lots of little nodules of resin still being produced to start closing this up. See that? Well, I actually got a pretty good bounty off of not a long time of just walking around. A lot of these trees have got damage, unfortunately. There's a lot of people and machinery in and out of here, so things are getting dinged up all the time. But the cool thing is once you find a tree that has one of these injuries, they're gonna continue to heal and produce this stuff for a very long time. So if you want to get more, just come back in a week or so, and there'll probably be more that you can harvest. But let's take this home and I'll show you how to process it. I've got a pot of water here that I'm gonna bring up to not a boil, but sort of a simmer. And inside there, I have a random glass jar that's probably from some red sauce or something. I'm gonna kind of sift through this stuff, try to pull out any debris that we obviously don't want in there. And we're gonna start putting it in here once this sort of gets warmed up. You gotta be careful and watch this thing, because as it starts sort of getting to a boil, it can bounce around and it could fall over. And we don't want that. We're up to simmer and now things are melting away pretty fast. What are you doing, monkey? Are you getting that? I can't hold you right this second, bud. I know. Thanks for the hug, though. Thank you for the hug. I know. You give me 1 minute and I'll hug you forever. This is hot. So the recipe calls for basically a 50-50 mix of our pine resin to some sort of skin-safe oil. I'm gonna use avocado oil. It's also got some good properties for a medical type hand salve. But you could use like vegetable oil or castor oil or pretty much any other type of oil. That looks roughly 50-50. There's all sorts of other things you could add in here too that make this, you know, better for your skin or for whatever you really what you're wanting to use it for. I'm gonna add in some eucalyptus essential oils because it also has some good antibacterial properties to it, which is perfect for this. There's one last thing that I'm going to add, which is just a touch of beeswax, which isn't necessary, but it'll make the hand salve just a little bit firmer. And I'm gonna do about 10% beeswax to this. I'm gonna keep the heat very low here, and we're gonna head over here to get our pouring station set up. Got a lot of paper towels here in case we spill something, and I've got some of these little metal tins. You can pick these up online for really inexpensive. So we're just gonna try to pour right off the top so that we leave behind as much of the debris as possible, but some of it's gonna get in there and that's fine. Well, that's why we put the paper towels down. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little tins full. All right, we'll let those cool off. Collecting that pine resin from the wounds of trees is a great accessible way to get started. You can collect a small amount, which is great for soaps and hand salves and other things like that. But for preserving wood, we need a lot of pine tar. And to get that, we're gonna need to find what's called fatwood, which essentially is just the section of a pine tree that has collected the most amount of that resin. And there's two good places to start to try to find this fatwood. The number one thing to keep in mind when you're searching for fatwood is to try to find a pine tree that is dying and or dead. If you find one on the ground that's fallen over, that's sort of best case scenario because it's easiest to get to the branches. And so once you find a dead or dying pine tree, if you go to the collar of the branch, which is where the branch actually meets the tree, and you cut into the branch right there, right in that first handful of inches of that branch is going to be chock full of pine resin, and you're going to get what's called fatwood. Now, unfortunately, the species of pines that I have, all of the branches that are dead and fallen off the tree are like 60 feet in the air. So I can't easily get those. But if you live in an area where there's like eastern pine or another conifer tree that has limbs that are lower to the ground, you may not even have to find a tree that's fallen over to be able to harvest some of the broken or dead branches. But by far, the best place to find fatwood and the most efficient, in my opinion, is to find yourself a pine stump. Ideally, again, it's a pine stump of a tree that died before it was cut down or after it fell down. So I think this behemoth of a stump here is gonna be our best bet. And the reason is I cut this down about a year ago. And when I cut it down, this tree had died at the top and was basically working its way down, decaying from top to bottom. There should be quite a bit of fat wood here in the center. Let's find out. I can already smell it. There's definitely gonna be a pretty good bit in here. Chainsaws really hate to do a rip cut, you know, the traditional cross cut chain, so this is pretty hard on a chainsaw. Oh yeah, that's what we're looking for right there. Look at how saturated that piece is. It is actually still sticky to the touch. We're gonna get a really high yield out of this. Man, take a look at this fat wood. That is the good stuff there. See, that stuff is just full of resin. This makes phenomenal fire starter. It's very flammable, so it's both a good thing and a bad thing for us here. In order to get all of this resin out of this wood, turn it into pine tar, we're gonna need to cook it out of there. So we're gonna need 2 metal containers, one of which we're gonna bury in the ground, and the other we're gonna put all this wood in and seal up with a lid, and we're gonna build a fire on top of it. This can be done at any scale. You know, it could be a 55-gallon drum to make large volumes of this pine tar, or it could be something in the middle like this, where I've got a small metal trash can on top of another very small metal trash can tote sort of thing. A lot of people use paint cans for this, but really any metal can that isn't super thin, or like aluminum, because aluminum would definitely melt, you're gonna be in good shape. So I'm gonna dump out this wood we have here, because we've gotta prepare our tote here. As we cook this wood and the resin starts to flow out, we need it to flow down through some holes in the bottom into our protected can down here. Because this is buried and in the ground, it's gonna be able to not basically just boil off the pine resin. The pine resin will be able to stay at a lower temperature and collect down here. That's what we want. So I'm gonna take a screwdriver and punch down through the top down so that our burrs go out the bottom, and that will allow things to drain as well as they can. All right, with all of our fat wood loaded up in here, basically to the brim, we're gonna carefully set it on top and try not to knock any dirt in there. Then I'm gonna keep some pressure down on here, and I'm just gonna use some of this dirt to kind of seal this gap up. Last week when I was building the camper boat and using all of that canvas, I decided to make myself one of these little pouches that I've been carrying around as a wallet for a very long time, but I decided to make one for myself. And then on a whim, I decided to make 25 more and put them up on the website. And to my utter surprise, they sold out completely on provenhands.com. If you didn't know already, I have a small business that I've been working on for about a year now, and we're actually going into market season, and I'm going to be doing a market a month this year. If you want to meet me in person, I'll leave links in the description below of all the dates and things and information if you would like to come to one of these markets. However, this selling out, I got like 30 orders from that video, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, that is a ton. And I'm really grateful and wanted to say thank you to everyone who ordered, because it is a real privilege for me to be able to make things that I'm passionate about like this. I know it seems funny, but to me, this stuff is super cool and I really love doing it. But to be able to make something like this and have other people also enjoy it enough to spend their hard-earned money on it and trust me with their hard-earned money, it's a real privilege and I'm grateful for it. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I don't have any more of these. I'm not sure if I'm going to make more or not, but if you would like to check out some of my other stuff, then you can head to provenhands.com, and I have lots of other things over there that you can check out. And some of you will be very happy about this. I'm working on an 1.25 inch belt, which is a little bit thinner belt. I know a lot of people have asked me for thinner belts, especially women. They really struggle to put the thicker belts through their belt loops. It's coming. I'm working on it right now, and it should be out shortly. So thanks guys for all the love and the support. Really making a dream of mine come true, and so I'm just grateful. I actually decided to wait overnight and start this fire in the morning because I knew there'd be a lot of dew on the ground and there'd be less of a chance of, some incident with fire. Although everything's been fairly wet around here, so that shouldn't be an issue. But it goes without saying, always practice good fire safety if you're gonna do a project like this, because things are gonna get real hot and fires spread fast, and if you're not prepared, they can get out of hand. Here's a piece of that fat wood. It's actually soaking wet because it's been sitting on the ground, but I'll show you how flammable this stuff is. Once this stuff catches, it really doesn't go out until it's fully burnt because of all that resin. So we're gonna use this as basically our fire starter. What you think, bud? That fire. That fire's pretty cool. Yeah, see, it's burning, huh? So what you doing, Dad? Put it out. It's burning.
Just a word of caution for you, if you're going to use any metal container that has a coating like a galvanizing or zinc or something like that, it's going to burn off in this fire. So once you get this fire started and it starts heating up, it's best to walk away. So that's why I kind of sent off Molly and Owen here, because they really don't need to be breathing this stuff in. So back up and let it do its thing.
This is going to consume quite a lot of fuel. I let that original bonfire settle down into a nice bed of coals, and now I'm just slowly feeding it. We don't really want to just like force this stuff out with a tremendous amount of heat. You're not going to get as good of a yield if you do that. So we're just going to do kind of a low and slow here for a couple hours probably. But as you can see, right at the top, we have a vent hole, and you can see it sort of burning every now and then and having some white smoke as well. And that's kind of perfect to what we want to see. That flame is just the gases being off-gassed and igniting when they actually get air outside of our tin. It's super important though that you put that vent hole in the top, because if you have a very sealed container, you are literally going to create a pressure cooker and things are not going to end up well. So make sure that there is a way for those gases to escape. Thankfully, finding fuel for this project isn't going to be that difficult. We're just over the 2-hour mark, and I'm seeing some really good signs. You'll notice there's actually a bit of black smoke coming off the tips of the flames now. So we went from white smoke to some flames to pretty much a steady burning flame to now one that has a lot of black smoke coming right off the tip of that, which is a great sign. It means we should be producing some of our precious pine tar right now. We just passed the 3-hour mark, and the flame at the top is sort of pitter-pattering. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So I think we're pretty much done. We've gotten as much as we're gonna get, and we should have some really nice charcoal in there as well. So I'm gonna pull all these coals away from our can and start letting things cool off a bit. Woohoo, that's hot. Golly. I've got several layers of leather gloves here. We're gonna see if we can carefully lift this top pail off without getting too much dirt into hopefully our pine tar. Hopefully there's some down there. We do want to be sure that we don't accidentally knock this lid off, because we could light all of our charcoal in there on fire if it got a surge of oxygen while it's still this hot. That might work. Oh yeah. We got us some pine tar in there. It's not as much as I was hoping for, but there's some pine tar in there. Let's see if we can fish this guy out. Oh! Well, there's some dirt in there now. We didn't really have much dirt in there until I did that. Look at there. Look at all that. All right, we'll set this aside, let it cool off. Look in there, dude. Look in there. Whoa. Okay, you stand right here, but remember, it's very hot. Yeah, it's very hot. Look, see it smoking? Look at this, look. Look. Whoa. That's some good pine tar right there, huh? That should be really good usable charcoal. Yeah? Yeah, where you going? You going to see your chickens? Yeah? Okay, see you later. You got it. I trust you, go on. Go see him. Got him going to check his chickens. It's a brave boy, going all by himself. Molly, give him some space. See if he can make it across the bridge. Oh, took a tumble. Mama can't help it. You got it, dude. Go across there. Go on. Good job, dude. You going to get the eggs, buddy? Yeah? Can you open the door? You got it. Go on, dude. You got it. You got it. Oh, pull it big. It's hard. Pull it, though. There you go. Got any eggs? Get your egg out of there.
Let's switch boxes on it.
Yeah. There you go. Good job. Now take it back inside, okay? Yeah, don't drop it. Good job, bud. Hey, Owen, what's that in your hand? An egg? Say thank you, chickens. Let's see how our charcoal yield was. Oh, yeah. You did great on the charcoal. It's exactly what you want. While this tar is still pretty warm, I'm gonna go ahead and try to pour it into a mason jar and filter it through a couple layers of cotton fabric here, just to try to get some of that dirt out of there. I got almost exactly a quart, but I lost a pretty good bit in the filtering process because it would solidify too quickly and then globs of it wouldn't pass through, and I basically had to discard them. So as I found out, most of the stuff actually settles to the bottom, and I think you could just pour it off the top and you'd be good. However, there's quite a bit left in here. So I'm gonna show you how flammable this stuff is. I'm just gonna turn it upside down over the fire, and you'll see. It's very flammable, but it should clean out this bucket a little bit for me. So it's time to make our wood finish or sealer, and this is the pine tar that we produced this morning, and it's cooled off completely to the touch now, and it's pretty gelatinized. There's even a separation layer down here at the bottom, which I'm assuming is some of the impurities that fell into that container. I'm curious to see what my pine tar looks like compared to a commercially available pine tar, so let's open this up and check it out. This brand is one of the most common pine tars available, and it says that it's 100% light pine tar. I'm not sure exactly what light means. However, if you read the back, this says that it's actually used for horses' hooves, and it is a natural antiseptic, and it retains hoof moisture, thereby making the hoof elastic and flexible while promoting new hoof growth. So I think this is basically like a Neosporin on steroids for cattle and other hooved animals. So let's open it up. Wow. Woo! That is strong smell. Whoa, that is very strong. I mean, to be honest, they look virtually identical. I would say that theirs is clearer for sure. It has less impurities in it. It just looks glossier, like it's got, you know, a little bit of a clearer profile there. It also seems slightly less viscous, and I would assume this is actually going to get more viscous. It definitely is. This is definitely, mine is definitely thicker than theirs. I've got another empty glass container here, and we're gonna make about a quart worth of wood sealer. And this is so simple. All you're gonna do is mix 50-50, so half this pine tar with half pure raw linseed oil. That part's important. It can't be boiled linseed oil, because boiled linseed oil has drying agents in it that won't allow this stuff to actually penetrate into the wood and cure, which is what you really want. So we're gonna dump in our freshly made pine tar, hopefully without making a mess. I really hope I don't get this all over my workbench. Look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna stop this pour so I can get a close-up, but if I spill it, it's your guys' fault. Oh! Well. Oh! I'll be back. Believe it or not, that's it. This stuff is ready to go. You will want to mix it before you use it and while you're using it. So in order to get the best protection with a finish like this, you really want to apply a very thin coat of just the linseed oil, and that'll kind of penetrate into the wood first, and then follow it up with 2 coats, light coats are key. You don't really want to go heavy on this stuff. Light coats of our mix here. I'm gonna skip the first step because, well, I don't need the best protection in the world. This is just a test. I really want to see what the color looks like. I have plans to use this homemade finish on a bigger, larger project that I'm going to be starting in a couple of weeks. And so you get to see how well this works long-term as well. So for now, let's just see what the heck it looks like when you put it on some wood. It has quite the amber tone. I can tell you that Molly wouldn't be a fan of this. So it's gonna be out of the question as is for me getting to use this. One of the cool things you can do is you can actually mix in some pigment into this and basically, you know, turn it into almost any color. I mean, you're not gonna get vibrant color out of this, but if you wanted to go like a dark brown or dark black even, you can mix some pigment in and do that. But what I plan on doing is doing some form of shishuggi bond and then applying this over shishuggi bond, which is really how most shishuggi bond was done. It was either done with a mix like this or just raw linseed oil. It wasn't just burning the wood, which is what you see a lot of people do. I actually think it has a pretty nice tone to it. Obviously it's gonna dry and it'll probably matte out a little bit, so it won't be quite as aggressive of color, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. I had a feeling that it was gonna be a lot darker than this, so it's kind of interesting that it's not. So here is the completed little hand salve project, and I think they turned out awesome. I let them sit overnight and they're the perfect consistency. They're obviously fully hardened and they're not like running out of here or anything, but when you actually put some on your finger, they're still soft enough to easily apply. And I've gone ahead and actually given these out to a few neighbors and family members, and everyone seems to really enjoy these. I think they're kind of an awesome little gift idea if you'd like to make a handmade gift for somebody. Even though this is made of all natural materials, this is obviously still a use it and make it at your own risk type of thing. It's been overnight and this finish has dried fully to the touch, and I think it looks pretty awesome. I'm very excited to actually try this out on a larger scale, real world project coming in the next couple weeks. So if you'd like to see that, please do subscribe to the channel and I'll have that coming out shortly. But there you have it, an ancient wood sealer made from natural materials that you can mostly find around your home. It's pretty awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to head over to provenhands.com if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.